I've always been a background character. My friends used to joke about it. Leo, they'd say, whenever there's a crowd, you're like an NPC in a video game. You just blend in, zero presence. And yeah, they were right. I never felt like one of those main characters in a novel, the kind who can bend life to their will. My strategy was simpler. Keep my head down, do the work, and trust that hard work pays off. Some people would mock me for that, saying only naive student types still believe in the gospel of hard work. I never argued. I'm clumsy with words. I just lose. So I focused on my job, content with being a junior associate for the rest of my life. I was happy with my little corner of the world. As long as I made enough to support a family, that was all I needed. I avoided power and office politics like the plague. Even if I was a loser in most people's eyes, my parents would always smile and tell me I was their greatest pride. And that was enough. There was one thing, though, that my family and friends always lamented. I was perpetually single. I don't know why exactly. Maybe it was because I was one of those kids from small town who did nothing but study for the SATs, so I never developed an interest in the flashy, loud world of the city. The neon lights and nightlife just made me anxious. I was a boring person. Even in college, a time when most people let loose, I didn't have any remarkable experiences. I remember the club recruitment fair, with upperclassmen yelling enthusiastically, "Come join the debate club," or whatever. But when I went to sign up, I saw a panel of these same seniors sitting self-importantly in an empty classroom, interviewing a line of nervous freshmen. Their welcoming attitude had vanished, replaced by a condescending air of judgment. Why the sudden switch from friendly to dismissive? I turned around and walked out. My 4 years passed in a routine haze. Go to class, go back to the dorm, do homework, and occasionally shoot some hoops with my roommate. On graduation day, it hit me that I might have missed out on a lot. I saw the campus queen, the one who always wore white dresses, walking hand in hand with some middle-aged guy, a blissful look on her face. Behind her, you could practically hear the sound of 100 teenage hearts shattering. I was just glad I hadn't been one of the guys who secretly worshipped her. I didn't have the confidence, or the capital, for romance. I always thought falling in love was a serious business. Watching my friends go through messy breakups made me confused and wary of the whole thing. In the end, I was the only one left single. Looking back, it was a bit of shame. Thank God I was given a second chance at life. But right now, something extremely unpleasant was happening. A thing, something like the systems you read about in web novels, was buzzing in my head like a persistent fly. It told me I'd been reincarnated into the world of a novel, and my new identity was the rich, villainous rival. Nice. A rival character meant plenty of screen time, and the key part was rich. But then it told me I had to complete a mission, make the female lead fall for me, in order to survive in this world. But if I did that, wouldn't my life be completely in someone else's hands? I lived a long life already. There was no way I was going to put up with that kind of humiliation. Life is precious, sure, but it's inseparable from freedom. So I refused. The thing calling itself the villain's counterattack system let out a bizarre squawk. I'm a purist when it comes to love, I declared. How could I do something like break up a happy couple? If there was a female lead, there had to be a male lead. And when I read novels, I hated the characters who messed with the main couple's romance. Seriously, why are you a villain's counterattack system anyway? Wouldn't a romance support system be better? A sweet, loving relationship has so much potential. Hey system, are you a he or a she? Can you take on a physical form? If you turn into a hot system girl. Ha. I rambled on, my joy at being reborn making me uncharacteristically chatty. Oof, you're so annoying. I'm ignoring you. The system's voice faded away. It sounded surprisingly human for an AI. A flash of light, and I was in a luxurious bedroom. I got out of bed and looked around. The room was the size of a large living room. In my past life, I'd worked my whole life just to afford a concrete box this big. Suddenly, a stream of memories flooded my mind, like text from a novel. This must be the plot outline for this world. The story was pretty cliché. The female lead, Chloe Russo, was an icy, rich heiress. The male lead, Julian Croft, was a poor but determinately handsome bad boy. They graduated from the same high school. Julian, the leader of a small clique of troublemakers, fell for the aloof academic star, Chloe, at first sight. Even though they weren't in the same class, it didn't stop Julian from his relentless pursuit, harassment. Though Chloe avoided him at all costs, the roguish Julian still left a deep impression on her. He believed her coldness was just a defense mechanism, that she was really a caged bird coddled by her family, who secretly yearned to escape, to run, to be wild. A month before final exams, Julian used his connections to find out which university Chloe was applying to. Then for 1 month, he studied like a man possessed and miraculously just barely scraped by to get into the same university. Reading this, I had to roll my eyes. First of all, if the heroine is a rich girl attending an elite private school, why was Julian, who was supposedly dirt poor, even there? Wouldn't a public school have made more sense? And why was he so convinced that Chloe, a straight-A student, would fall for a guy who smoked, drank, and partied? She wasn't some wannabe rebel. And seriously, does anyone actually believe you can go from slacker to top-tier university student in 1 month of cramming? I guess anything's possible in fiction. The story continued. In college, Julian kept chasing Chloe, but he was thwarted by the rich villain, Leo Walsh. That's me. The villain forced Julian to go abroad, where he conveniently built his own business empire. He then returned, an unstoppable titan of industry, and ran into the heroine on a bustling city street. I had to scoff again. The villain, Leo Walsh, had the same name as me? That wasn't the point. The point was, the villain demanded Julian stay away from Chloe, but Julian's counteroffer was a spot in a study abroad program, which the villain readily agreed to. What a joke. I'm not his dad. Why would I pay for him to go abroad? Besides, the guy was already skipping classes and failing at everything in a perfectly good American university. Was going overseas magically going to turn him into a success story? I couldn't figure out how Julian was supposed to pull that off. Did he find a sugar mama? Become a mercenary? Right now, the plot should still be in the university phase. The original me had already cornered Julian, who was getting close to Chloe, and given him 3 days to prepare to leave the country. The reason? Because I was supposedly madly in love with the heroine. Ugh, so boring. Why would I spend my money to send the hero abroad? It was obvious the two of them were already developing feelings for each other. They were a perfect match, a handsome couple made for each other. Who was I to get in their way? You can't force love. I immediately dialed Julian's number. How the hell did I even have his contact info? Ahem. Hey, Julian, my man. Listen, I'm in a bit of a financial bind. I can't send you abroad anymore. Julian exploded with rage on the other end. I heard a loud clang, like he just kicked over a bicycle. I wondered whose it was. Leo, don't think you can play me for a fool just because you have a little money. No, that's not what I mean. I've had a change of heart. You can't force these things, and it's just wrong to break up a couple. I was just jealous before, and that's why I threatened you to leave Chloe. I'm really sorry. When Julian heard the word couple, his mood instantly lifted. He thought to himself, even a jerk like Leo thinks Chloe and I are a couple. We really are destined to be together. After my sincere apology, I decided to go a step further and Venmo'd him a small sum of money, a little startup fund for his dating efforts. Though I highly doubted that anything bought with money could ever truly win over Chloe. On his end, Julian accepted the money, muttered, "What a clueless trust fund idiot," and immediately used it to take his deadbeat friends out for dinner. Okay, now I was officially done with their drama. I stood in front of the mirror and stared in shock at the handsome guy looking back at me. This was me at 20. I started to wonder if this was really a novel world at all. Why'd I look exactly the same after being reincarnated? Later, just to be safe, I met with Julian one more time and told him I had no intention of breaking him and Chloe up. It took a lot of convincing, but he finally believed me. At the same time, I volunteered to be his advisor, his wingman. I didn't want to see two people who were meant for each other wait too long to get together. Even if they were a bit of a weird pairing, I was already here, so I figured I might as well help out. I had a stylist put together a whole new wardrobe for Julian, making him look like the suave CEO he was destined to become. And I had to admit, the clothes really do make the man. Julian was already handsome, but in that sharp suit, he gave off a dangerously charming vibe that made girls on the street do a double take. I even got him an internship at a decent company. Seeing him looking so sharp and motivated, I felt like a proud father watching his son finally grow up. After doing all that, I decided to keep my distance from these fictional characters. All I wanted now was to study, relax, and enjoy my life. With everything seemingly on the right track, I settled back into my pleasant university life. However, I started noticing my classmates giving me weird looks. I used to be obsessed with chasing Chloe, and now I was actively avoiding her. But lately, it seemed like Julian and Chloe's relationship had stalled. I wasn't sure why. Maybe after a little success, Julian's innate arrogance started to surface. He began saying strange, possessive things to Chloe, like a toxic alpha male from a bad romance novel. Chloe seemed repulsed. I heard that one time, Julian showed up to one of her classes supposedly to audit it, but we all knew what he was really doing. Maybe she just got tired of his constant posturing because she apparently threw a book right at his face. Looks like things weren't going so well for them, which made me even more hesitant to interfere. Come to think of it, I hadn't even seen Chloe in person yet. Maybe it was a side effect of the transmigration, coupled with the fact that I'm a bit face-blind, but her face was always a blur in my memory. Still, I had this strange sense of unease, an urgent feeling that I needed to see her, that something bad would happen if I didn't. Sometimes I even felt like I was being watched. It's just my imagination, I told myself. One day, the system's voice echoed in my head for the first time in a while. You idiot host. Look what you've done. I told you to pursue the female lead. Pursue who? I was completely lost. It seems you haven't taken a single word I've said to heart, the system said, its voice cold and menacing. Hey, I'm healthy. I'm eating well. My life is good. Why would I get involved in all that drama? I have a mission for you, the system said sternly. Before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, you will place a bouquet of red roses into Chloe Russo's hands. Yeah, I won't do it. What are you going to do about it? If you do not complete the mission, the host will die. The system was trying to scare me again. We were in this together. If I died, it died. I wasn't going to do its stupid mission. What could a little system do to me anyway? I don't believe you, I said, enjoying my little moment of rebellion. The next second, I couldn't breathe. My limbs went limp, and I collapsed to the floor. Just as I was about to lose consciousness, the life-draining sensation finally faded. I gasped for air, my heart pounding in my chest. Dumbass. You believe me now? The system's voice sounded smug. I believe you, system bro. In my mindscape, the villain's counterattack system stood with its arms crossed. It's system sis. Right, system sis. System sis. That sounds awful. Call me sister. Oh, you have got to be kidding me. Give it an inch and it takes a mile. Sister. Louder. Sister. I yelled. A girl walking past jumped in terror and ran away, clutching her head. Great. Social suicide. I wore an expression of complete defeat. By the way, respected system, could you maybe give me a picture of Chloe Russo? What do you need a picture for? Oh, I get it. The host is such a pervert. The system teased. I just forgot what she looks like, I said, forcing down my anger. Idiot host. You have a mouth, don't you? Figure it out yourself. Got it. After asking around, I found out that Chloe had a foreign language class the next morning, so I could stake out the building ahead of time. As for a photo, I couldn't get one. Our campus didn't have a culture of spreading other people's pictures around. But I had a buddy, Kevin, who seemed to know what every attractive girl at the university looked like. I bribed him with the promise of a free meal to help me stake out the place. Kevin thought I was just being shy. Well, if it isn't the campus's #1 simp, Leo Walsh. What's up? Suddenly feeling shy. Realized playing hard to get isn't working. Huh? What are you talking about? Playing hard to get? Kevin raised an eyebrow. Seriously, man? You were so obvious. Everyone knew. You used to follow Chloe around like a lost puppy, just like that Julian guy is doing now. Oh, don't tell me you're jealous. I didn't want to get into it with him. Fine, let's just say I'm jealous. Ovo, didn't know our Leo had it in him to be so honest with himself. Just talk normally and stop with the weird nicknames, I said, giving him a light kick. The next morning, Kevin and I were waiting outside the language building. Seeing me with a backpack on, Kevin looked confused. Bro, what's with the fresh-faced high schooler look? Your whole style has been weird lately. Where are your favorite black suits and trench coats? My mouth twitched. Who wears that stuff on a normal day? We couldn't just stand there, so Kevin and I wandered around nearby. Kevin was unabashedly checking out every pretty girl that walked by. I shoved him. Dude, do you know how creepy you look right now? Hey, Kevin struck a greasy pose. Leo, my man, you still don't get it. Nice guys finish last. Ugh. Leo, look, Kevin whispered, pointing toward two striking figures. There she is, the girl of your dreams. Go on, what are you waiting for? I slowly pulled a bouquet of red roses from my backpack and walked toward them. And that's when the problem hit me. There were two of them. Which one was Chloe Russo? Damn it, Kevin had vanished. The second I pulled out the flowers, it was like I'd flipped a switch. Every eye in the vicinity locked onto me. I was past the point of no return. Of the two women, one was wearing a white blouse and a pink skirt, radiating cheerful energy, the textbook definition of a sweet, preppy girl. The other was tall and lean, wearing a black jacket over loose-fitting jeans, with an air of effortless, edgy coolness. This was supposed to be a romance novel, right? The heroine probably loved pure, innocent white, and she was the campus goddess. After careful, logical analysis, I concluded that the heroine had to be the preppy one. Chloe Russo, I found you. I strode confidently toward the two of them as a few onlookers started to whoop and cheer. I held the roses out to the preppy girl, looking at her earnestly. I had to at least pretend to be sincere to complete the mission. For you. The girl looked completely stunned. She turned to her companion, flustered and unsure what to do. The cool, edgy girl gave a slight nod. Take them. It's a nice gesture. Her voice was cold, but to me, it sounded warm and encouraging. I gave her a grateful nod, but she didn't even glance my way. The preppy girl hesitated for a long moment before finally accepting the roses. Sorry to bother you, I said, and immediately turned to leave. The mission was done, but as I walked away, a chill ran down my spine. I had the distinct feeling of being watched by a predator. On the way back to my dorm, I smugly called out to the system. Hey, little sis, I completed the mission. You did. The system's voice sounded like it had just woken up. Do systems need to sleep? But a second later, the system seemed to explode. You idiot host. How did I get stuck with someone so stupid? Damn it. No wonder you're going to die alone. Being hit with that particular insult out of nowhere stung. Hey, watch your mouth. Don't start things for no reason. I have a temper, you know. You have the nerve to talk? Look what you did. You gave them to the wrong person. You moron host gave the flowers to Chloe's best friend. Wah! The system wailed. Once I understood what had happened, I rubbed my temples in agony. It's not my fault. You never told me what she looked like. The system went silent, as if it had disconnected from me. Thankfully, there was no punishment. That night, I got a text on my phone. Playing hard to get. The contact was saved as Chloe. What was going on? Was this the heroine? How'd I have her number? I don't like it. She sent another message. I didn't reply. At the end of the semester, I joined a seniors project group to prepare for a major tech competition. Coincidentally, both Julian and Chloe were in the same group. That wasn't surprising, though. The senior leading it was a genius, and joining his team was basically a guaranteed spot on the winner's podium. The senior knew my skill level, so my job was mostly drawing diagrams, writing up documentation, and doing other miscellaneous tasks. Julian, on the other hand, had a sharp, creative mind and was always coming up with new ideas. But he seemed to prefer playing the role of a leader, bossing everyone around. Chloe, the cool, edgy girl I'd met before, was incredibly meticulous. She was always the one to spot tiny, critical flaws. She and I were assigned to organize the code together. At first, it was definitely awkward. But once we got into a work rhythm, I tried not to overthink it. Ugh, I'm not a fast thinker, and this wasn't my major in my previous life. The code I'd slaved over had problems, and the simulation wouldn't even run. I was panicking. The project lead just frowned silently. Julian suggested we scrap the whole thing, saying he had a better idea. Defeated, I had no choice but to ask Chloe for help. Chloe shot me an irritated look, but she meticulously went through the code several times and finally fixed the bug. I was so grateful I could have died. I had almost become the team's saboteur. To thank everyone, I bought a huge case of boba for the whole group. Later, a teammate told me that when I saw the program finally run, the way I looked at Chloe was like I was ready to devour her, my eyes shining with an intense light. Was it really that dramatic? Still, Chloe really was a hidden gem. Chloe took the boba, took a sip, and said quietly, I don't like this flavor. What flavor do you want? I'll go buy it. Never mind. The night before the competition, Chloe asked me to dinner, saying she wanted to discuss our final presentation. I didn't really want to go, but she'd saved my neck, so I had to agree. The look Julian gave me could have killed. Chloe arrived wearing a women's pantsuit, her hair tied back in a high ponytail. She looked surprisingly mature and charismatic. She said, Leo, why can't you be more persistent? I nearly jumped out of my skin. I stammered out an apology for my past behavior, and then solemnly declared that I was now a dedicated shipper of her and Julian. I earnestly explained that what she was feeling was just a temporary sense of loss now that her simp was gone, and that she absolutely shouldn't take it to heart. She wasn't listening. She seemed interested in me. What do I do? What do I do? I don't know when it happened, but she'd completely shed her former sweet, girl-next-door vibe and was now this cool, formidable woman. It was making me seriously nervous. Actually, I'm a purist when it comes to love. I thought you and Julian were a thing, so now I have this mental block. You can't mess with my principles. Not pure anymore, she said, and then she bit down hard on my lip, her kiss fierce and angry. System communication space. A mature, sophisticated woman playfully pinched the cheek of a younger, pouting girl. So, how's being a villain's counterattack system treating you? Why, it's all that stupid host's fault. The girl whined, her cheeks puffed out. Oh, honey, maybe you should just stick to being a romance support system. Yes. The girl clenched her little fists. If it weren't for my help, that Leo kid never would have gotten together with the destined female lead so early. Oh, is that so? The sophisticated woman flipped through the pages of the novel, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips as she covered her mouth to stifle a laugh. Original novel ending. Julian Croft walked down the bustling street, a dozen bodyguards in black suits trailing behind him. A woman walking toward him made him stop in his tracks. The woman carried a simple, modest purse and wore a casual dress. She had the gentle air of a doting homemaker, but her stunning beauty was enough to make any young woman passing by feel inadequate. She didn't seem to recognize the man he had become. Chloe. His voice was deep and magnetic. Chloe Russo frowned. Only her family and close friend were allowed to call her that. Julian Croft, he said, his voice heavy with meaning. Chloe simply nodded and continued walking. Julian blocked her path. Have you fallen so far that you have to carry your own bags now? Chloe's expression darkened, but a second later, her face lit up with a brilliant smile at the sound of another voice. Mommy, let's wait for Daddy. A little girl tugged on her hand. Okay, sweetie. Chloe smiled indulgently. Julian froze. Where did that child come from? From behind them, Leo Walsh came jogging up, his arms laden with shopping bags. Honey, sweetie, wait for me. The Yendi.